Wait, you have a TV?
No. I just like to read the TV guide. Read the TV guide. You don't need a TV. Television addict! Television addict!
Television addict! Hey everybody, welcome. It's TV Guidance Counselor time, whatever time it is, where you are, where you're listening to this. Welcome to the show. My name is Ken Reed. I am an on-hiatus Boston stand-up comedian who has been doing this show since Valentine's Day 2014, not continuously. That would be, I would die. That's quite a marathon. But each and every week, haven't missed a week yet. Some weeks we have 2 episodes. We're approaching 500 episodes of the show. This is the show where someone picks an old issue of TV Guide magazine from my vast collection, as I have, like any normal human being, and they go through, they pick what they'd watched that week, and they discuss their choices. And that's what we do this week with my guest, the one and only Kyle Kinane. Kyle is an amazing stand-up comedian who I'm sure you are familiar with. If you are not, get familiar with him. He's got several albums out, a bunch of specials. Just Google him. You'll find plenty of stuff to watch that will make you laugh. Smart guy, funny guy. Met him years ago, I think first at the Riot LA Comedy Festivals. Rest in peace, Riot LA Comedy Festival. Actually, rest in peace comedy festivals in general. I don't know if they'll ever come back, but super funny guy and a good dude, and I really enjoyed talking to him. It was nice to catch up. So I think you'll enjoy this. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of TV Guidance Counselor with my guest, Kyle Kinane.
TV is my friend, and it has been always there for me in time of need.
I was going to say my guest, but I almost feel like my hostage this week, Kyle Kinane.
Oh yeah, we're all stuck in, man.
Yeah. Nell Scovell had the best joke where she was like, anytime she talks to somebody now, she goes, "Oh, good, I caught you at home."
This is now like I still haven't designed, since this is audio only, but like real, like forgetting that people are like designing their backgrounds for Zoom meetings, and I just had like cardboard boxes because I moved and I look like I was squatting in some house. Like, I guess maybe people are paying attention to this stuff now.
I thought you meant
ourselves up a little bit.
You were like in a refrigerator box, and they're like, "Wow, he's homeless, but he's got good Wi-Fi."
That's what's important. Is that connections are important, you know. All right, we don't worry about the decoration.
It's true. It's about the person behind the decoration. Yeah. The funny thing is, and I don't know if I should be insulted or no, I should be insulted. But every time I go into Zoom, people think that my office is a fake background, and they're like, "It looks crazy," and I'm like, "No, that's a room I'm actually in right now."
Wait, because it looks fancy, or it looks
no, like I have like a bunch of old TVs in here, like vintage TVs and like neon, and like, you know, it looks like Philo's lab from UHF.
You know what? That's a reference I truly do appreciate.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you.
is that dude?
Yeah.
Who would? Well, he was not. Now, okay. There's 2 actors that I always get. It was him, and it was the dude who was like the valet from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh yeah, who
looks just like Howard Kramer.
What country do you think this is? That guy?
Yeah.
That guy was in Sonic Youth.
What?
Yeah, he was like a New York underground dude who was in all those no-wave bands, and he's best friends with Jim Jarmusch. He's in like a couple of Jim Jarmusch's movies, and then just randomly would get in like random 80s teen movies.
And also Good Morning Vietnam.
Yes, and Adventures of Pete and Pete. He plays the janitor.
And he's also not the weird older brother from
Blossom.
No, not from got Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, yes.
I throw that guy into the mix with those 3 dudes. They're all very similar.
John Grease. You mean Uncle Rico?
Yeah,
because he was Laszlo in Real Genius.
He was Laszlo. Jeez.
Yes.
All right. This is going to be a whole thing.
Hollyfelt. Yeah. John Grease. Weird guy. But very funny. He does that show Dream Corp Incorporated on Adult Swim.
Yeah. With Ahmed Burke, Nick Rutherford. Funny stand-ups that are also doing stuff.
Yes. So
boy, we can just talk about TV. We don't even do TV.
I know.
We just go down this.
It's just list shows we watch.
Yeah, I miss Val Kilmer when he did comedies. You know, Real Genius was a great flick.
Oh, and not Hot Pursuit, Top Secret.
Top Secret. I tried to watch that one again. It was like, okay, I get it. I see why 8-year-old me really enjoyed this movie.
It's like a Mad magazine. Oh man, Val Kilmer I did a show with a few years ago, and it was the saddest thing that's ever happened to me.
Val Kilmer as Mark Twain, or Val Kilmer as just weird
guy
Val
who had
Kilmer.
throat cancer but is pretending he didn't, even though he has a tracheotomy. And
really?
is real thin. Yeah, he was traveling and he was showing that Mark Twain show, which is actually really good.
Because he was somewhere in New England. It was like the week after. It was like Val Kilmer's at the Stress Factory. I was like, wait, what? Hold on a second.
Yeah, he was doing like autograph signings, but it's funny and it's sad. But
as Mark Twain,
as himself. But he clearly, I don't know if he's Scientologist or something, but he's some religion where he won't admit that he had throat cancer. So he literally has a tracheotomy and like talks through a hole and has a scarf, and he's like real thin, but they don't tell people that when they're going to go like get his autograph and stuff. So you just see all these people coming in and being like, oh, because it's shocking.
I don't want to be rude, but that's the worst Val Kilmer impersonator I've ever seen.
Yeah, like he couldn't even try. And then he can't really talk. It's really weird. He did a Q&A for it, but like he literally had like a tracheotomy voice box thing.
Oh, well, this is really kicking off.
I know. Aren't we? We're doing well here. Speaking of bummers, on the cover here, December 6th to the 12th, 1986, a woman who I think got a bum rap, Delta Burke.
Delta Burke. So what did she get? She got caught up in the weight-obsessed 80s.
Yep. And she's stunning. I always said she looks like a less goofy Katy Perry. Maybe not in this picture.
No, actually, exactly in this picture. Katy Perry's messing around with the 80s thing all over the place.
Oh, yeah. And Delta.
It really is just Delta Burke. She just wandered around Delta Burke's closet.
Yeah. And Delta was really funny. She was on Designing Women. It was hilarious.
Designing Women.
And she was a former Miss like Alabama, Louisiana or something. And she put on some weight and they fired her. And then she was like the butt of jokes for like any fat joke that you would normally do with like Oprah. They replaced with Delta Burke for a while.
Remember, that's all it was. It was just people could not get enough fat jokes back in the day. Like that was just full tilt. Go for the weight. I rewatched Back to the Beach.
I love that movie so much.
It's a great movie.
It's great.
The humor, the self-referential humor holds up, but a lot of Oprah being fat jokes. It's like, oh, yikes.
Oh, yeah. And actually, have you ever been to the Malibu Pier?
I think I have. I lived there for 17 years, but I don't remember. You go to the beach, you don't know which beach you're at. Well, there's the ocean. That's cool.
The pier at Malibu is where Sandy's apartment is. And it looks where they have the pajama party, and it looks exactly the same. And when Shane Moss used to live over there, I was staying at his house, and I had to go there and like take pictures of myself in the pajama party balcony because of Back to the Beach.
Remember when the woman who's going to jail for college fraud danced with her mother, Annette Funicello,
and a weird punk rocker.
The weird, dirty punk rockers also like to dance.
Yeah, that's, you just ask. No one asked them. The weird Nazi punk surf Nazis who were running the beach.
Everybody be cool. Dick Dale and Pee Wee Herman will be here to put on a concert and bring everybody together.
That's all it takes, man. Once Dick Dale was gone, we all, that's when the world fell apart.
Man, it was, that movie holds up. I'll throw that out as a recommendation. But Delta Burke, good. Who else were the Designing Women? I know Delta Burke and Annie Potts. I can't remember. Delta Burke,
Annie Potts, Jean Smart, and Dixie Carter. Jean Smart is in. Did you see Watchmen? The show?
No.
Did you watch Legion?
No, these are these sound like all these one-word sci-fi movies.
Yeah, they're sci-fi things.
I did not.
She's in a bunch of stuff now.
I know who she is. Yes, I remember her.
She's in Snow Day with Chevy Chase.
Wow, throwing him at me here.
But yeah, her and then Dixie Carter, who played Mr. Drummond's wife previously on Diff'rent Strokes. She was Sam's mother.
Oh yeah, it's like an old classy lady.
Yeah, she was very Southern, and pretty much every episode she would give like an angry speech. And Meshack Taylor, who was Hollywood and Mannequin, was in it. And then later, when Delta Burke left, she was replaced by Jan Hooks and Julia Duffy from Newhart. Replaced her with 2 people.
They're like that. What a shitty thing. Like, oh, nah, you guys, come on, you idiots. It's the same person, right?
Yeah.
Here's a new character. You're fine. You like it. You're fine.
Oh, it's not good. How about 2? Is that good now? You fine now?
There you go. Here's a different dad, different kid. Who gives a shit?
Well, one of the amazing things about that show is when Delta Burke left, they offered Bonnie Hunt the role, and Bonnie, who, speaking of Chicago, was still a cancer nurse in Chicago. She still keeps her RN license to this day. She was making like $30,000 a year as a cancer nurse. They offered her this role replacing Delta Burke for $65,000 an episode. They sent her the scripts, and she was like, these aren't any good. No. They were like, was she like a Steppenwolf? Second City.
Oh, she was Second City. So she was from comedy. Because you hear about like all these like Steppenwolf classically trained theater actors, and then it's like, like it's always like a Jim Varney type of story.
Oh yeah, they're like, no,
like, you're a trained Juilliard actor.
Yeah.
Anyway, how y'all doing?
Yeah, I had Scott Valentine on a couple weeks ago, who was Nick on Family Ties.
Yes. Oh,
he literally went to Juilliard and was a classically trained method actor, was in plays with like Robert De Niro. And he goes, then I get this gig, I go on TV and I go, ugh.
Can you do Dumber Fonzie for us?
Yeah. He's like, well, whatever, it paid me well, it's the best job I ever had, but it wasn't really I wasn't good at acting. But yeah, no, Bonnie was a comedy person. She's like, nah, this is no good, and turned it down to be a cancer nurse.
I actually got in an argument with Mark Price with Skippy from Family Ties.
He's out of his mind.
He really is. And not long after I'd moved to LA, remember the days of like every stand-up, it was comedy websites. It was like Super Deluxe and everything. It was the mid-aughts, and so they're throwing all these money at comedy websites. And he had one, and one of my clips of stand-up showed up on there I wasn't being asked or anything. And I just contact the website. I'm like, hey, I just appreciate if somebody wanted to ask permission to put the clip up, or as a compensation. And I'm at my day job. I'm at I was closed captioning TV shows was my day job. And I get a call. I was just like, hi, it's Mark Price. It's Kyle Kinane. I'm like, wait a minute, Mark Price. I'm like, Skippy from Family Ties is calling me. So I had to go out on my lunch break and have a phone call with Skippy where he was like a dick.
Yeah.
Like he was a jagoff. And he's like, I mean, he's doing like that. If you don't want exposure, it's great exposure. I mean, millions of people are going to see it. This website's going to blow up. But if you don't want exposure, you don't have to. I'm like, he's wanted permission, then you can use it. I'm like, and I went back inside my day. I'm like, this guy in a fight with Skippy from Family Ties. I'm like, welcome to LA, man.
Yeah. It's like Skippy and Dustin Diamond. It's one of them. You're going to get in an argument with one of them at some point.
Yeah, you guys really didn't try to turn it around after that. Those careers.
Skippy, I had to block him on Facebook because he was going on and on about chemtrails all the time.
Oh, now I have to follow him now I have to re-up my Facebook just to follow Skippy from Family.
Oh yeah, he's always going on about chemtrails. He legitimately thought he was going to get Arsenio Hall's talk show gig. So they had him in it was a whole thing, but Arsenio Hall got that gig because it was originally Joan Rivers' show on Fox. And then she left, and then they had a series of guest hosts, including Skippy. He hosted like 2 episodes. And then Arsenio Hall, which everyone was like, clearly this is just going to be Arsenio Hall show. And Skippy was like, it's me.
I think Skippy going into the chemtrail thing, it does seem like a logical progression for what you know, even as a character.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Mark Price or Skippy, both of them you could see being just middle-aged guys going, they don't tell you, man. They're seeding the clouds with information.
That's not how mist works, man. Look at this chart I have about water vapor.
Vapor disappears, man. Why isn't it disappearing? That's what I want to know.
Heat goes up, What are you talking about?
I gotta stop going to these autograph signings at the convention center. They're getting weird, man.
Have you ever seen the movie he was in called Trick or Treat?
Yes. The short answer, yes. Love that movie. I love seeing Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne in the height of satanic panic playing against type.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's great. Well, you do see full frontal Skippy in it, though.
Oh, Skippy Dink in it?
There's Skippy Dink. Yeah. Smooth or Chunky. It's in there.
I didn't know. I don't remember seeing Skippy Dink in it.
Yeah.
There's a young lad.
There's a scene where he gets beat up in the showers. At school. Boy. Yeah. Oh, so just a warning to people. I think that warrants a trigger warning. There's
what have you forgotten in life because you know that you could see Skippy's penis?
Oh God. Entire family members.
How long does it take you to remember your social security number?
I don't even know what that is. I'm a sovereign citizen.
Actually, have 45 years. I'm a sovereign citizens officer, so I don't have to show you my license. I don't believe in it, but if you want to know, it's at 23 point.
I do not consent. Seconds. Anyway, here's Skippy's dick. Bye.
This is the information I could offer you that's pertinent to your interests.
Yeah, I remember I was doing a live one of these with John Glaser and Eugene Merman, and Eugene just goes, "You could have been a doctor." Yeah.
We use our strengths how we choose to use our strengths.
It's true.
I don't fault you for it. I dig it.
Well, thank you. And TV Guide is not, it's respectable because right after that Delta Burke cover, there's an article in here by John Updike.
Yeah, you sat and read the TV Guide is what happened.
Yeah, toilet or not.
You sat. It was a magazine to accompany your viewing. First off, let's not go past the Dodge Shadow. That was, I believe that was the answer to the Chevy Cavalier back in the day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a new breed of compact car.
I like the trunk space. I do like the 80s shitty cars that were listed in this brought me back to some I was like middle class and lower middle class, but if somebody got a new car, it was always something like a Dodge Shadow, but you're still excited. Like somebody got a new car in the neighborhood. Ooh, look who's doing well.
He's got a neon.
It was a Dodge Shadow. There's also an ad for apples, just apples.
Yeah.
Back when you had to advertise apples.
The national original health food. A snack so good, people eat the wrapper.
If you forgot, you could also eat apples sometimes.
Yeah. I don't feel like we get any of those now, but when we were growing up, it was like cheese, beef, apples.
Yeah, not a brand, not a company, just the concept of the product itself.
Yeah, because people will forget about apples otherwise.
Yeah, brought to you by the farmers of America. Like every farmer, like, we got too many apples.
Everyone put in $1 and we'll buy an ad. We'll all go
after apples, Winston cigarettes.
Yes.
Which I would buy at the gas station with a note from my mom as a probably when this ad was out, I'd be 10 years old or just before I turned, this is 1986, December. Yeah. And my birthday is December 23rd, so I was 9 years old. I was about to turn 10. Double digits, big lead up. And I would go with a note on my bike. My mom would handwrite a note saying, "Please sell my son 1 pack of Winston Lights." And that after a while, they just didn't give a shit. Like, we know who you are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, this guy in the ad looks, I think is Sean Penn, but it's not.
It does look like they enhanced Sean Penn to look like because at this time this was a Spicoli era Sean Penn in the 80s.
Yeah, it's like if Spicoli and Magnum PI got Brundleflied.
You have to explain what Brundle.
From the Fly, where Jeff Goldblum and the Fly go in the telepods and they get mixed.
Called.
Yeah, because that
has a term.
Yeah, he's Seth Brundle and the Fly, but get mixed together, they become Brundlefly, which is what he calls himself.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean that's
your knowledge. Your knowledge is frightening.
I know. It scares me. Like I called an exorcist once because of it.
Also, let's analyze. The most rugged man having a cigarette still has a digital watch and a child's backpack.
That's right. And he appears.
So, I don't know what.
There's like the background is out of focus, but is that a gondola behind him?
Gondola? I'm seeing some sort of odd snow shelter. Perhaps it's hard to tell.
It's like here's what I'm thinking. divorced dad. We're on a Saturday, so he's got the son. He's at the amusement park. He's holding the kid's backpack, smoking a cigarette while the kid's on the Ferris wheel.
Listen, I can't ride this again. You kids go.
I'm out of
dad. That's like, you're going to have more fun without me. Go on out there.
I'll hold your bag so stuff doesn't fall out. I'm out of breath. So you kids go. I'll be here.
This is the guy who's going to be on the local news later that night, furious somebody abducted his son and vowing revenge. But it's like, well, of course your kid got abducted. You don't even know what color hair they were. What color shirt? It was like a shirt. He's shirt and pants. He was a clothed child when I left him. You know?
He's got a blue backpack. Oh shit.
God damn it.
It's the only thing I recognize. I removed it. Yeah, when I was growing up, I used to there was a place called Delaney's Superette near my grandparents' house, and I used to have to go over there and get cigarettes and scratch tickets for everybody, like nonstop, just several times a day if I was over there. Yeah. And I was probably 6, 7, 8, and they were like, "Yeah, here you go, kid." Because you could do that.
Scratchers, cigarettes, rolling into the liquor store, having to push through the turnstile that was head height because of how short I was. Yeah.
I remember once, I forget who tried to pull this on me. It was like a babysitter or something. I think I was like 10. And she was going to the liquor store, and I went to go in with her. She's like, "Oh, kids aren't allowed in here." And I'm like, "Oh, yes, they are." I was like, "Who are you trying to fool?"
Nice bag. Like, "Kenny, how you doing?" Like, I told you.
We got that Schlitz your father was asking about.
yeah. My dad wanted it.
That's true. I've never drank before, but I did used to steal the beers that, like, there was a elementary school behind my house, and I would call the cops on the kids drinking just because I thought it was funny watching them run. And then I would go down and steal their beers, and then I would sell them back to them at school, and then they never figured it out. They never figured it out.
Now I know why you have so much knowledge of television. Pure anti-social tendencies like that.
Oh, 100%.
That drove you to the warm box in the living room.
These kids were paying like $27 a can for Natty Lights.
This kid's got a racket going on.
Yeah, it got me my TV Guide subscription. Oh boy. So let's see. Would you go Saturday night? Did anything strike your fancy there?
Let me get down to Saturday night here. Oh, we're going by another car ad. The Chevy Celebrity Eurosport.
That's right.
Nothing says more European than that vehicle.
There's also an interview in here with Avery Brooks from Spencer for Hire, a show shot in Boston, where he goes, "I am no tonto."
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip over that one.
We've all said that.
Parker Pen ads. That was always a big gift.
We got Elayne Boosler in here.
Oh, Boosler's still out. And am I correct? And that's the Elayne that the Elayne in Seinfeld is based on.
I believe so. Yes. And she was massive in the mid 80s. Like it's funny that you hear a lot of people are like, women in comedy, women, blah, blah, blah. And they never mention Elayne Boosler, but she had like 9 massive comedy specials.
She really did. And I feel like Roseanne came out, and I think she was pretty unrefined as a stand-up. I think looking back now, you could probably tell like, oh, Roseanne had 20 good minutes and worked it.
Yeah.
Because you could do that back in the day with comedy. There was obviously the old timer tells you how the internet changed things, but like, you didn't have all this access. Like all she needed was her one special, like her like spitting and being,
Roseanne,
and then Elayne Boosler, who was tried and true comedian in New York scene, the club scene. It was her. It was was it Gilda Radner, but the very skinny.
Oh, yes. She did a thing called Naked Beneath My Clothes. It is, why am I forgetting her name? I've talked to her before.
I'm going with Gilda. Yeah. And
she was in the movie Peter's Friends. She is
she married to a British
guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Now I have to look it up. I'm breaking
Look
my
it up
own
because
rule.
I'm like, I would watch stand up in the 80s, like as a child, just watch all the
Rita Rudner.
Evening at the Rita Rudner. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like the prominent, like, all those prominent female comics, like they didn't get the sitcom thing, and then like you're saying, people just forgot how huge they were in the 80s.
And Elayne Boosler, like she was literally doing like a new hour every year for like 10 years.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, man. She was on Night Court for a short amount of time, but she was like a tried and true stand-up. Like she started at the Improv with like Andy Kaufman. Like she was like one of the original improv comics. And yeah, no love for Elayne, and she's still out there doing it to your point. It is a little weird.
She got a write up in the TV Guide in '86.
That was what should have made her career.
take what you can get. All right, Elayne, take what you can get.
It's true. And now she talks about chemtrails all the time. That's not true. She doesn't talk about chemtrails.
It's a way to stay relevant.
It is. I have had Tom Arnold on the show. You ever met Tom?
He emceed a show I was on, and I've never seen someone sweat more in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Athletic or otherwise.
Tom is a maniac.
Pit stains through his belt.
Yeah. He told me stories that I won't tell again on the show, but remind me to tell you sometime that it's the only time in my life I actually had to ask someone to stop for a minute because I needed a minute. I was laughing so much.
Really?
But he's sober now. And hearing all the stories about how awful they were to people on the writers on Roseanne is just amazing. Yeah. To your point, she did only have 20 minutes, and they hired all stand-ups as writers, and they would literally come into the writer's room on like a Thursday and be like, "Hey, we're doing a charity gig in Iowa this weekend. Write me 20 minutes or you're fucking fired." And it would like they'd have to write them a 20-minute set or they'd be fired.
Yeah. Because if you don't, she just grabs her crotch and spits during the national anthem at a baseball game.
Someone
give her some words.
Oh, I had Lois Bromfield on who wrote for the show, and Roseanne came in one day and was like, "Everybody named Gary is fired." And two guys on the writing staff were named Gary, so they stood up and she goes, "Oh, I only meant this Gary, but okay." So the other guy got fired too. Christ. It was like just shit like that all the time because they were like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Where's she from? Where's Roseanne from?
She's from Iowa, I think, because Tom's from Atoma, Iowa, and I think they're both from Iowa.
I forget who I was just talking to about how like they needed John Goodman, like they needed a believably looking character, but they wanted somebody trained as an actor because of the aesthetic of the show, but they needed like that because to like counteract her unrefined lack of ability.
Yeah.
They needed a really good actor, but they needed somebody who looked like John Goodman, so that's how he got it.
Yeah, it's like Goodman.
I was just talking about this week, and somebody's like, yeah, they wish like they could have seen him performing Shakespeare.
Yeah, I mean, Goodman's the only guy that could have done that. Would have believed it. Oh, yeah, but speaking of Steppenwolf, Laurie Metcalf's a Steppenwolf person.
That's okay. That's who I was putting it. Okay, that's what it was.
But yeah, Goodman was in Revenge of the Nerds. As we all know.
So many. Well, you got Bradley. No, that was the second one. Was Bradley Whitford?
Bradley Whitford was in the second one. The first one was Ted McGinley.
Which I will tell you right now that Revenge of the Nerds Part 2 came out. You can look it up. I hope I'm correct. I think it came out in 1986 because I think I saw it on my 10th birthday, which would be a couple weeks after this TV Guide. And my dad like took me there on took me there when my mom was getting ready for Christmas and came back and she's like, "You took him to see Revenge of the Nerds. Was there a bunch of sexy stuff in there?" And I remember my dad just nonchalantly like, what t-shirt contest, and just didn't give a shit. He took his 10-year-old son to see Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Paradise.
Nerds in Paradise, which is a very funny movie. I think I may have that whole movie memorized as a kid. I saw it so much.
Nerds 2. And now I met
I know when it came out. Do you want me to ruin your memory?
Shit, it's 1987. Must have been my 11th birthday.
It was the weekend of July 4th, 1987, because it came out the same week as Summer School, also starring Courtney Thorne-Smith.
It makes sense that I saw it on my birthday because we did see it at the $1.50 discount theater. So 6 months later would be when that would show up. If it was a hit, it would take months. So it was my 11th. I was 10 going to 11. So there we go.
That's the right time to see that movie. I think that's like a journey into manhood.
Yeah. And Summer School, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Chainsaw went on to do the, didn't he do Nigerian Spam Scam? The one-person show? Oh, yes, he did. Yeah. Yeah. Dean Cameron. Yes. Underrated 80s comedic actor as far as I'm concerned. Oh, yeah. Miracle Beach, Rockula. Miracle Beach. He was in all of them. I just remember that. I remember that in like there was some other movies. I think he was in a ski movie.
Oh yeah,
which I think if you were in any movie in the 80s, at some point you were in a ski movie.
Ski School he was in, not to be confused with Ski Patrol.
No. One you learned how to ski. The other you kept them safe.
You kept those people who were learning safe. Speaking of titty movies, on the video cassette report in here on page 45, I was very pleased to see that week Hardbodies II came out.
Oh, This is an $80 cassette.
I was just going to say that.
Tapes are $80.
Yep. $80 if you want to own Hardbodies II. You gotta,
with inflation, how much would that?
It'd be like $250 probably.
Imagine you want to see a movie, you want to own a DVD, $250. Hardbodies. I had weird. I have so many weird stories that don't go anywhere, and will just prolong my nonsense for this podcast. But yeah, I just had an accountant one time who I was like trying to go over numbers, and I don't know how we got to talking about who's in Hardbodies? Who are the stars of Hardbodies?
So the original Hardbodies, one of them was Courtney Gaines, who was in Chem. He's Malachi in Children of the Corn, and I forget the other dude. Hardbodies 2 is a weird movie. It was shot in like Rome or something. I don't even know who was in it.
Okay, this was all right. It was somebody else. Courtney Gaines. Yeah, that dude.
He's one of the few people I do an impression of. Outlander, we have your woman. They were playing games and music. It is forbidden. I could do Courtney Gaines. Sounds just like him.
I crushed Courtney Gaines' impression. I go every year for Halloween. That's what I do.
It's me. Yeah, I used to do it on stage. I go like, guys, what if Courtney Gaines was the president of the United States? I think I'd go a little something like this. And then,
Now you got me looking up stuff because now I'm going down. This is a dangerous show. This is a dangerous show that you have here.
It really is. We lost a lot of good people along the way. Show.
Damn it.
So you're trying to look up who your accountant was mentioning?
My accountant was like getting horny talking about something. I'm like, I think I just like was at my account, like getting stuff done. I'm like, oh yeah, I wound up watching like Howard the Duck. And he's like, oh yeah, man. When it's he's like, Leah Thompson. And I'm like, yeah, she was in that movie. And then what was the Leah Thompson movie a real hard on about?
Oh, was it Some Kind of Wonderful?
No, she wasn't in that. Well, no, she was. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it right now. It was something else where he thought she was nude in something. He's like, yeah, but she's naked. And
is she naked in All the Right Moves? Is she in All the Right Moves?
That's what it was.
Yeah,
she is. Because I'm looking at her on IMDb.
Yeah,
but it was like he like got wistful.
Oh,
like, yeah, but she's there. I'm like, dude, just look at these forms, man. Like, what are you getting horned up? And it was like, and then I got a different account after that because
I never got like, we've all known dudes like that, friends or not, like, and you're like, what are you want me to like high five you and we'll just start talking about boobs from R-rated movies and then be like, hey, you want to watch some? Like what?
Like the junior high posturing is like, and even like buddies. I don't have buddies that are like that, but then you're just an accountant.
I mean, if anyone's going to be like that, that's who you would think it would be.
A fucking horny number cruncher.
I remember I was working it was like a temp job or something. I was sorting mail in like I forget what even the company was. And one of the guys who was like one of the executives came down to get his mail and he was just like chatting to like the three of us who were sorting mail. And literally apropos of nothing, he goes, man, I'll tell you, thank God for pornography, saved my marriage. And then just kind of walked out. And we're like,
you want a little context, maybe some follow-up? No? Okay, fair enough.
Like, that was out loud? Like, this was an appropriate time to go to ask you if you knew that was out loud, because I don't know what sparked that.
I used to work in like a large-scale bakery, and I had a supervisor come by while like there's a hopper for the dough coming out, and he just came by and grabbed one of these like balls of dough. He's like, it's like a nice soft titty, huh? And then just walked on. Like, didn't really say it to me, just touched it and said it to himself and then moved. Like, we're all wearing hairnets and shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, don't make me think about what you're thinking about. handle these food products.
I have to touch these all day.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm 16 going, is it? Because I wouldn't know. Now I'm like, now it's taking me forever to package up this dough.
Like 5 years later, you're like, no, it isn't.
Come on, Kinane, step it up. I'm like, I got to pay the correct amount of attention to each little ball of dough here.
Oh my God.
It's coming down the line.
I was working at our local CBS affiliate, and I was coming out of the men's room, and this dude, I think his name, he had some name that sounded totally made up. Craig Carlson, that was his name. And he was like a sales guy, and he goes, yeah, everything go all right in there? Which is a weird question anyway. And I was like, oh yeah. And then he said, and to this day I don't know what this means, he like crossed his fingers back and forth, and he goes, yeah, little mix and match. What does it mean?
But knowing that and being an adult now, knowing you can confuse the shit out of somebody,
yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I would say that to somebody. I would say that to somebody now. Oh, little mix and match.
You know what? I'm gonna throw your night a curveball, and then you deal with that for the rest of your life, because that's what's fun for me.
What did he mean? Yeah,
right now that same guy, Greg Carlson's out there going, that kid still is trying to figure out what mix and match means. I don't even know. I should call him.
I did a hand gesture too. That's what really put it over the top. He was so confused. My God.
Let's see. Are we on Saturday night?
Yeah,
still?
We're on Saturday.
We made it past Saturday.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
We're on Saturday. It's almost near Christmas time, and there are some bizarre specials in here. I don't know if you saw any of them.
I hated that, and I hated it too, because I hated, like, I want to watch my programs, and then they throw you some ding dong Christmas special in there.
So Jim Henson's
sons of bitches.
Jim Henson's The Christmas Toy is pretty good though. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Oh, it's the Jim Henson. I think I saw that one.
It's basically Toy Story, but they ripped off Toy Story. But the premise is like your toys are alive, but if anyone ever sees one of the toys moving, they basically die, like they freeze forever. Oh. And there's this little mouse character that Kermit's actually holding in the ad, and he is like, they're trying to run away from these kids. They're trying to do something, and the mouse is like, "Oh, I'll hold them off," and basically like sacrifices himself. And then he's just frozen forever. And as a kid, I was so disturbed by that.
I feel, the Henson world could throw you for a loop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very much.
I mean, I still won't watch Dark Crystal. That stuff creeps me out to this day. I see the like just a picture of the puppets from Dark Crystal. No thanks. I don't want that.
Yeah, it is terrifying. And I see a lot of people that look like gelflings. From Dark Crystal. Yeah, people getting a lot of work done. Yeah. Go on Instagram, there's a lot of them out there. Yeah, they look just like gelflings, and it's weird. Sorry, I was looking at the guide here. Yeah, what do you got? We got to go from prime times 8 to 10. Yeah. So Saturday night, December 6th. Saturday night, if I was at home, probably was, what with being a 9-year-old and such. I'm like, that Facts of Life 227 block right there. That was a big family hit. Mm-hmm. Everybody was happy with that one. Perfect. So probably. I was less of a fan. I love 227. When I look back at my youth, I realize how much of my I was more entertained by like black stand-up comedy and black TV shows. Did you grow up what, suburbs of Chicago? Yeah. This will sound like a dumb question, but I'm from Boston. Did you have any black kids like in your school or anything? No. Yeah, because we didn't really either. High school, I think there was maybe 2 or 3. So I kind of had a similar experience, but part of it was like, wow, this is fascinating. Yeah, it was. I mean, something like 227 was depicting. I forget where it took place exactly, but it was depicting city life. Yeah, it's Washington D.C. Yeah, or even stuff like, Good Times. Or like when I was real young, my mom would watch All in the Family, and so knowing now what All in the Family was doing for race relations and how you were viewing an old bigot and seeing how he was wrong over and over again. Like you don't know that context when you're a kid. You're like, this grumpy old man's funny, and then Sherman Helmsley would come in and make fun of him, and that guy's funny. Oh yeah, and you're just laughing at
You're just laughing at comedic acting. And that's like, I mean, 227 with Jackee in it. Like, you watched it for Jackee. You don't give a shit about the story. You just want Jackee to be on this.
She's so good. She's so good. And she's just funny in everything. Like, I love Jackee. I've watched.
So you watched it.
I've watched like kids sitcoms on Disney Channel because Jackee was in them.
Well, and that goes in because then 227, then you're going right into Golden Girls.
Yep.
Same thing. I'm going to watch because Betty White and I forget the
B. Arthur?
Whoever the mom.
Oh, the mom Stella Getty.
Yeah, who was actually, what was the story? She was actually younger then?
Yeah, she was the youngest one of the whole cast.
Oof, hard years on Estelle Getty.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did makeup.
They were funny.
Oh, yeah.
Was that what it was? But and also, like, the writing was like, it's the thing you hate in a sitcom now where everybody has like a zippy comeback to every situation. But the best version of that was Golden Girls. In my opinion, that I can remember, like the best version of like zingers all over the place, Golden Girls.
Yeah, I think that we forget, especially now, because I think multicam sitcoms get shit on too much because people only think of bad ones. But when it's done right, and it's hard to do well, it's amazing. Like it can be really good. And that is one of the good examples. Like that, what's that rule? Like, hey, a character can't leave the scene unless they tell a joke. Like that.
Oh, is that really what it?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you got to provide an exit for them. Like, and I'm out.
Yeah, that was the rule. Like, they have to leave on a joke. But yeah, I love that Saturday night lineup. Which, thinking about it now, to your point, I was 6, you're 9. It's Saturday night, and we're watching a show about teenage girls at a girls' school, black people in an apartment building in Washington, D.C., retired old ladies.
Yeah, there's some diversity to that line.
Yeah.
And then Amen. I forget what Amen was.
That was Sherman Helmsley as Reverend.
Sherman Helmsley.
Yeah, with Clifton
and
Davis.
It's weird that I feel like that show would come on, but at that point it's 9:30 on a Saturday. I was probably like dipping out. Even though as much as I'm like, yeah, I like Sherman Helmsley and the other thing, just on his own, I don't think I was into Amen as much.
No, I didn't like Amen. I hated his daughter, who was really, really obnoxious. She was like an adult that lived at home and was like really whiny, and he hated her. And it was that kind of thing where I was like, I don't want to see this. Yeah. There's also that night a Christmas special called Christmas in San Antonio with Perry Como and Angie Dickinson.
It's such a golden age of like, just give them whatever. Yeah, watch it. Like you were corralled by this block of programming.
Yeah.
If you were turning on your television, you were gonna. Well, granted, taking away the VCR element, but there was no internet. Like you had them. You could throw that kind of shit on there, and you knew you'd have an audience.
Oh yeah, especially on like a Saturday, people just watch it because they're like, I don't want to get up, I don't want to change the channel. I did notice that Playboy channel is listed in this TV guide, which is kind of weird.
I saw that.
But they're doing Comedy on Campus with comedian Chaz Eisner. I had never heard of Chaz Eisner.
I have to look up Chaz Eisner right now. 'Cause I'm looking at like the because I had cable at an early age too. So a lot of these, Enemy Mine, I remember.
Oh yeah,
is that Lou Gossett Jr. in Scary Makeup, right?
Yep, and he gives birth to a baby.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that as a kid, not knowing what was going on.
That's one of those movies.
Yeah, that's right. He gave birth to a,
If you describe the plot of that movie to somebody, like as a dream you had, like, dude, Lou Gossett Jr. was like fucked up, and then he had a baby. They'd be like, I'm worried about you.
I fell asleep watching Iron Eagle. What was that? What was that? The fire jet?
Iron Eagle.
I fell asleep watching Iron Eagle. I woke up that she's having a baby. Somewhere in between those two things.
We get Lou Gossett Jr. with weird onion head.
Lou Gossett Jr. We got mind melt going on. that was my Saturday night.
Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I had a sister who's about a year and a half younger than me.
Okay, so you were the oldest, so you were kind of set in what you were watching, I imagine.
Yeah, but it was kind of the family was just basically, dinner time, TV's on, so nobody has to talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what like Facts of Life would have been. Well, actually, what if we would have been eating earlier than this? I don't know. Saturday night, I remember everybody kind of being on their own.
Yeah. Well, you're in Central Time too, so like Facts of Life starts earlier. It would be on at 7.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's what's throwing me off here. I got an hour to play with.
Yeah, I was always jealous of you people because you got to watch like the 11 o'clock show at 10.
It was right. It was the rock block, 7 o'clock. Everything starts at 7.
Yeah, that's it's not fair. Sunday night.
I made one glance at the Kraft TV special recipe collection and it started to make me feel sick. So I skipped through that one. And orange barbecue chicken wings, whole bottle of Kraft barbecue sauce.
Yeah, that's
some orange juice, and I'm not gonna do that.
I can't think of a Kraft product that I would want to eat on its own or as an ingredient in anything.
Honestly, I would probably love all this stuff. I do not need to know how the carolers casserole is made, especially when they make sure to capitalize the products like. 7 quarter-ounce package Kraft macaroni and cheese dinner.
TM.
Yeah.
How much does the carolers casserole sound like one of those made-up sex things that kids in middle school talk about?
Then all of these sound like that. Then every single one of these. I gave her the old Jingle Bell bars. Followed it up with a Yuletide apple dip.
Oh, you never heard of that? My brother's friend did it to this girl.
Swear to God, I gave her the chocolate orange mousse. That actually just sounds like a regular thing.
I think that is just a regular thing, yeah.
Blushing apple tart, though, that could be a whole.
That's a whole thing. Yeah, you're going to go to the hospital if you do that wrong. That's
6 months a date, and you got to work up to that.
Oh, yeah, that's breakup stuff.
Well, now we're moving over to Sunday, and we passed up the ad for Billy Graham in Romania on Saturday night. That was
did you ever watch any of that stuff? Like even as a curiosity?
No, we were not. No, go to Sunday school and everything, so I didn't need any more of that riffraff.
Yeah,
in my life, I was just like, I'm not going to watch church on TV.
Yeah, I'm not a shut-in. I don't need this.
No, we don't need any of that. Let's hit this Sunday night. Let's see what we got going on here.
John Lennon Remembered, hosted by Wolfman Jack.
Oh, what he was it 81? 81,
yeah.
So only 5 years after, still a relevant thing back in the day. So Murder, She Wrote, was always a fan of Murder, She Wrote. I don't know why. As a young man, really nothing there for me. But for some reason, the family really rallied around shows. Like nobody had such strong opinions. Like we always kind of agree, like, hey, this show kind of sucks, right? Or if my dad or my mom would be like, this sucks. And then we'd all go like, yeah, why are we watching this? And so that we were pretty unified over what TV got watched in the house.
Yeah.
So Murder, She Wrote would be on. And I don't know why, but nobody questioned it. We're like, we'll watch Murder, She Wrote. What gets our mind going? I think my parents almost viewed it as somewhat educational.
My kid can solve murders. Yeah.
It's a whodunit. You got to put your brain into it a little bit.
That's right. This will serve you well in life.
Yeah. But this, see now, because we're starting at 8. Otherwise, I would have been watching Fletch on HBO.
The Fletch is such a good movie. I even like Fletch Lives.
Fletch Lives, I'd have to revisit that one. I'm sure it's got its moments, but I would have to come back. It's been a long time since I dove into Fletch Lives. And then the rest of this, I'm looking at cable because honestly, the primetime regular channels, they're not doing much for me.
No.
On Sunday night. I'm trying American Vice. I don't even know what that would be, but
I don't either. That's HBO, right?
What's channel 61? What is that?
Oh, that would be one of the UHF channels. So it's some syndicated thing, I guess. There's a made-for-TV movie with George C. Scott and Edgar Allan Poe's Murders in Rue Morgue. Which
all right.
I might check that out now. The weirdest thing is that it says in the ad, a CBS Library of Congress read more about it book project.
Jesus,
it's a TV show to try to get you to read.
TV came with some homework.
Yeah, gonna do the reading. Did you guys have like a black box or a satellite dish or anything, or you just got HBO?
We had, I don't know, whatever cable. We got cable right away. Like I saw stuff I should not have seen.
like what?
It wasn't pure black box. Like it wasn't the illegal. We didn't get Playboy or anything. But just any movie on cable, I saw it.
Yeah. Because at that time, HBO showed pretty much Hot Dog the Movie, Just One of the Guys, nonstop.
Just One of the Guys, yeah, had its definitely had its parts that were enticing to a young boy.
Oh yes, Meatballs 2, that was on all the time.
Meatballs, boy, meatballs.
So Monday, do anything for you?
Monday had some. Oh, this People's Court ad?
Oh yeah, in divorce court.
Okay, let's see Monday. Guess I'm going through these ads here. Now, Monday had some action that I was excited about. Let me get to the brick here. Okay. So Wheel of Fortune was a constant. Granted, I know that starts at 7:30, but I'm seeing the lead up of the shows. Okay. Alf, I feel like didn't fly in our family. We're kind of like, this is pretty dumb.
It's real bad.
Yeah, I feel like the comedy was not funny.
No.
He-Man and She-Ra Christmas. This is what I'm talking about. Where I was not a He-Man kid, and it would come in and I'd be like, "Get this shit out of here!"
Yeah,
that's something I want to see. Now you got MacGyver popping up everywhere, deservedly so.
Yes,
MacGyver knew how to finagle his way into our hearts.
This
Always a fan of MacGyver. Could not remember a single episode right now, if you ask me, but I know it was like, let's watch and have him do the thing that MacGyver does, and we'll be happy.
This one is pretty exciting. It is a computer interrupts MacGyver's test of its security systems as the real thing, trapping MacGyver and the computer's designer inside a top secret lab with only 30 minutes of air.
Oh, okay. So that he's going to get trapped at about 8:30.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's a half hour into the hour show.
It's in real time, the second half hour.
Yeah, they had to spruce it up, Amazing Stories, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Loved some Amazing Stories. Now, it's opposite of My Sister Sam. Wasn't that that lady got murdered by a stalker?
She did.
That?
Yeah. She's the reason that apparently at that time you could literally call up like CAA and be like, "Hey, what's Rebecca Schaefer's address?" And they would just give it to you.
Really?
And that's what the guy did. He just called her agent, got her address, and went to her house and killed her. And it's insane. And it was a huge deal. They changed laws because of it. And she was a good comedic actress. I mean, it's awful regardless, even if she wasn't a good comedic actress. But yeah. She's one of those people that I'm like, I bet she would have had
save. Yeah, she's a crummy actress anyway.
Hey, no harm, no foul. It's not like Shelley Long got it.
They weren't seeing another season of that show.
Yeah, it got a lot of publicity, all right? But I'm like, oh, what could she have done? Because the show was fine enough, but it got completely overshadowed, obviously, by that.
Well, I mean, if it was opposite Amazing Stories and MacGyver, there wasn't a chance I was going to see it. So.
Amazing Stories was a weird one. It's Steven Spielberg and George Lucas basically doing their own Twilight Zone.
Yeah, just doing a little bit less terrifying Twilight Zone. And I remember that being a nice break from the sitcom pacing that I was used to watching. And again, I can't remember any specifics of any of these shows, but I remember Amazing Stories being one that would come on and I'd be excited for it. A lot like I'd be excited for show Monsters, I think it was called. Or Tales from the Crypt was a big one for me.
Yeah. Tales from the Dark. Were you a Tales from the Dark Side guy as well?
I'm trying to remember if that one made it into the.
So WGN used to show Tales from the Dark Side nonstop. It was like their go-to filler show. They would just be like.
I feel like I was wearing my Svenghoulie shirt yesterday.
Oh, very nice.
Shout out to LWGNs. Was that No, that's on something else now. It's not on WGN.
It originally was WGN, I think. Because son of Svenghoulie, he's on MeTV now.
MeTV,
He's taken over.
Rich Cause.
He was
the weather guy.
Oh, was he the weather guy?
I think he was in some capacity part of the news programming, and then would do Svenghoulie.
That makes sense.
I think. Double check everything I say. I talk out my ass pretty much constantly.
That's all right. We're ass talking here on the show. That's actually the name of the show.
Doing.
Yeah.
Now at 9 p.m. Newhart, which is the one that would be on, and we'd all watch it, and my dad would laugh at it, and then nobody knew why.
It's really funny though.
I'm sure it is, but as a child, you're like, I get that the two brothers are named the same. That's pretty funny.
Right. But the rest of the stuff was a little too high-minded or like.
I'd say you're a kid. And so I'm going to say Newhart was not what really scratched the itch of a 10-year-old's comedic mind or 9-year-old as you have it.
I've found that everyone I know who went into comedy has some show where we instead of watching the show, we watched our parents watch the show and then tried to reverse engineer why they were laughing. And
that's a great observation. Yeah. Like why, like, it's like drinking coffee or something.
Right.
Why do you all do this?
Like, is this how you adult? What does this mean? And
what part of you died where this is acceptable?
Yeah. And then we all do it now. There's also the TV special, The Stingiest Man in Town is on with Walter Matthau as Ebenezer Scrooge. And one of the things that I just love the description so much, it's a show on Lifetime called Lifestyles. It's not Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, just Lifestyles. It's hosted by Regis Philbin. And this is the entire description. Michael J. Fox, also pet monkeys. That's it.
If you're looking for opulence, this is not the program.
No, and they're two separate stories.
Michael J. Fox lives in a sensible 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And anyway, monkeys, just in case, we had to fill out the rest of the program.
I found this guy. He's got a pet monkey. Look at that. Newhart's a show that, that's one of my comfort shows that I always go back and rewatch. And do you have, any comfort shows when you were a kid?
That I was getting more bummed out than anything going back and I'm going to go back and watch Night Court and be like, it really doesn't.
Because you don't feel like the humor doesn't hold up, or?
Yeah, and it would bum me out because I have more fond memories of these things, and to go back and then wonder why you had fond memories. I'm like, what am I doing to my brain? Why can't it just be a nice thing? I'm glad it was there. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I, had laughed with my dad at Night Court at jokes that I think I understood, or maybe I didn't, but hey, we both like this show.
Right.
It's kind of like, you think about what came on before The Simpsons were on the air that united a family. Because The Simpsons basically hey, remember how everybody disagreed? Here's The Simpsons. You all like this.
Yeah. Except for the parents who were like, you're not allowed to watch this because it's disrespectful.
You got bigger problems in your life. If you have those problems. I've been watching old Simpsons now, and it's been great. But I'm trying to go back. Golden Girls, especially being a road comic, when you get to a hotel room and you want to just put something on that's just noise in the background. It's going but Golden Girls, you get a block of Golden Girls, comforting. If you want to listen, you're going to hear a good joke. Otherwise, it's not explosions or disruptive. You could take a nap to it.
Right. Yeah, it's pleasant enough. You should write TV reviews. You could take a nap.
You put it on 3 or 4 in a volume bar, and you can doze off. You'll be fine. Nothing's jumping out at you.
You might half hear a joke and laugh, and it's good.
Well, 9:30, you got Lost in America starting up, which
I love that movie.
Speaking of movies that my dad took his children to because he wanted to see the movie and was not concerned about their children's level of entertainment.
But that movie's at least not dirty or inappropriate.
No, but much like Newhart, it's this is just because if I was, my dad's 30 years older than me, so 39-year-old man wants to see movies on his day off because he worked midnights.
Yeah.
So we saw matinees during the week of films that nobody else. I saw, and I'm grateful. I saw Raising Arizona in the theater.
Same.
I saw, but I was then that was what, 85, 86?
85, yeah.
So 8 years old. I don't know why I like that movie. At 8 years old, and now it's like my favorite movie now.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing it. Yeah, I was 5 or 6 when it came out, and I loved stuff like the Randall Tex Cobb, the John Goodman character was fun. Like the broader stuff was funny.
Well, there's big silly characters in it, but then you look back like, oh, it really is just a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner thing. Like that was their intent in making it. And then you watch it now with all the subtleties. You're like, oh, that's why this is a great movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
On top of being accessible to an 8-year-old going, that guy's silly and that guy's funny and that car crashed.
Yeah, I mean, Lost in America is a story about middle-aged, midlife crises. It's not that appealing to a kid, even though that movie is amazing.
Yeah. But it's like, well, you want me to do something with the kids? All right, we're going to see this movie.
This is for me.
Otherwise, but actually, at 9, I would have been watching comedy here. I would have stayed up to watch comic relief. Like anything with stand-up comedy, I would watch because I was fascinated with the simplicity of somebody standing on stage and talking, and that's all they had to do. There's no instruments. There was no script. It was like, these people just talking, and that's it.
Yeah. And we grew up in a golden age of that because it was the cheapest filler for cable. So you had like A&E Evening at the Improv, like Caroline's. There was at least 10 shows. Like there was a stand up on every day, pre-Comedy Central.
I think it was like Sunday Funnies or something.
Oh yeah, on Fox it was Comic Strip Live, but then there was the Sunday Funnies. And
I was telling somebody yesterday about Bruce Baum.
Oh, he was on all the time.
Well, like, as a comedian, you're supposed to be like, oh, man, Bill Hicks was like the most influential in George Carlin. I'm like, I don't know. When Bruce Baum played Shake It Up by the Cars and pointed out that it sounds the same as Monster Mash, I'm like, that's genius, man.
Did you ever see the movie Martians Go Home?
Maybe.
So it's Randy Quaid, and he's like it's from maybe 1989, and he writes scores for movies, and he plays some music that attracts all these Martians that like invade the Earth, but all the Martians are played by 80s stand-up comics in green makeup. So Bruce Baum is in it, Barry Sobel's in it, and they're just like super annoying, and they're all just doing their act all the time. And it's actually
let's put this one on the list.
It's actually
Martians Go Home on the list.
It's really funny because they just keep popping up doing 80s stand-up, and people are like, "Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing?" And Bruce Baum's all over that thing. It's pretty great.
Oh yeah, we got a lot. We got.
It's good to everybody.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay. We'll put this one on the list. Then. We got to see this one. That sounds like good stuff.
Yeah, let me know what you think when you see that one. Yeah, I watched all those as well.
We had Tuesday.
Tuesday, yep.
Tuesday prime time. All right, now we're really coming in with the Christmases. We got Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. We got Rudolph classic. Then you got Matlock. Oh, this is either like your 3 or your 80.
Yeah.
Oh, the Who's the Boss Growing Pains block. That was a big one in the household. And you know what? I think it was fine. I think it was the stuff that was the one that was on in the household that just wouldn't upset anybody.
Yeah. It's just
do I need to go back and see it now? I don't think I need to. But Playboy Channel, we have Girls of the Comedy Store. You want to talk about filler? Even Playboy Channel needed to lean on. And they don't stand-up comedy.
They don't list any of the performers. They just go, women perform stand-up.
But it's on Playboy. Like, are they naked, or is it still stand?
They would sometimes have, and that one I'm not sure, but they would sometimes have a Playmate host, which is a disaster.
Good God, they still try to do that shit, and it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
Like porn star comedy, and you just have a bunch of like just chronic masturbators with oily skin in the audience, not knowing how to behave around other people.
Yeah, they are not there to see comedy.
God, I've done those shows. They're fucking horrible.
I remember
the worst, like the crossover where you want to be like, I respect people in the, porn industry. Like, hey, make your money and do what you want. I do not judge you. But understand that you need to behave the way you're supposed to at a comedy show. Instead of be like, all eyes are on me. I'm the center of attention. No, you're not. And I'll get you kicked out just as soon as any other fucking slob that wants to interrupt the stand-up show. It sucks.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
Well, it's that thing where all these other sort of entertainment, especially the fringier entertainment things, for some reason, when they need to do anything, their go-to is let's do stand-up.
It's stand-up is this net that catches so many celebrities on the way down. And if you want to treat it with respect, like, hey, everybody gets to try stand-up. If you want to go up there and like really treat it with the reverence that I hold for it and give it a shot
and try
for it. But if you just go up there just thinking like, I can fuck off and waste everybody's time, get out of my business.
Yeah, it is rough. And like Evening at the Improv, their big thing was every show they had a celebrity host. So like Emmanuel Lewis hosted a bunch, and like,
oh yeah,
so it's just like you can't do.
I remember Pat Morita doing street jokes on some of those.
Yeah, it's like you've fundamentally misunderstood the role of a host. Like, you don't get it. I remember here in Boston, and I think this show is based out of New York, there was some guy who was booking like a lingerie comedy show. And these girls in Boston did it. And I'm like, dude, don't do that show. And they're like, well, I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, no, this guy's charging $50 and he's advertising it as a lingerie show. Like, nobody's there to see your comedy. Like, I'm sorry. It's pervy dudes who want to see you in your underwear. And I know you're like, well, I'm like, don't do that.
This is the lateral move at best. I'll tell you that. It's like you want fans, but you also want a quality of fan.
Yeah.
You want people liking your stuff for the right reasons.
Yeah. You don't want them to be like, I might see their boobs.
Ugh. Well, I'll say now, to go back to the guide here, a movie, probably one of my favorite movies as a kid, that was an adult comedy, Moving Violations.
I love that movie.
That movie, one of the lesser known Murray brothers.
Yep.
You had all your real 80s, like, who was it? It was Michael J. Fox's sister from Back to the Future.
Yep.
Was in it, correct?
Mary
I'm going
Mary
to
Beth
IMDb
Sperber.
right now.
Wendy Sperber. Mary Jo Sperber. Yeah, Fred Willard's in it. It's Jennifer Tilly's first movie.
Willard.
The guy
Jennifer Tilly, that's right.
The guy that plays Ratner in Fast Times at Ridgemont High is in it.
You got Stacy Keach's brother.
Yes, who is a perfect asshole in that movie.
Oh, just a scumbag. Sally Kellerman.
Yep, who's a horny judge.
They got the kink thing. Her and James Keach have the weird leather scene, which that as a kid you're like, oh, so sex is where you just dress up. Now that I'm looking at this, Don Cheadle.
Yeah, Don Cheadle is in it.
Who knew Don Cheadle was in there?
Don Cheadle was also on Night Court the same year.
Really?
Yeah, he played a kid who held up a liquor store and holds the gang hostage, because that's the roles black guys got on TV. Yeah, Moving Violations was written by Neil Israel. I think it was directed by Neil Israel as well, who wrote all the Police Academy, the first couple of Police Academy movies, and also wrote Real Genius.
That explains my affinity for this stuff here.
Yes, me too. I love those movies. And the weirdest thing about Moving Violations,
Ned Eisenberg, he's a good one.
That movie's set in the future.
Really?
Yeah, Neil Israel. I talked to him about that movie, and he's like, "Yeah, we set it. We wanted to set it in 1997. I have no idea why. And when you watch it, it is like weirdly subtly set in like a RoboCop type future." And it doesn't make any sense why you would do that. He doesn't even remember why they did that. But like,
I have not seen it in a long time.
It's still funny. I've watched it recently, and I will stand by it still being funny, because that Murray Brothers great. It's got, it's a Police Academy movie. It's got all that kind of humor.
Oh, and doesn't have a, well, it's not who I thought it was.
Speaking,
never mind. I don't know.
I've done stand up with far too many people who've been in Police Academy movies.
Well, Sobel, Spade,
Bobcat. That's a good one. I've opened for Michael Winslow.
I had a story about opening for Michael Winslow, and he didn't tell the host that he will walk on stage like after his name's called, like somebody, he just left somebody hanging up there because he's like, all right, everybody, Michael Winslow. He wouldn't get on stage until the host got off the stage.
So it's like a standoff.
So somebody in traditional stand-up etiquette is you stay on the stage and welcome the next person on. It's like Michael Winslow, and just clapping and just never showed up. It's like, come on, man, Michael Winslow.
Is this like Tinkerbell? You got to clap till he's alive. Like, how does this work?
I did somebody's show where they make up a fake music festival, and my headlining act was David Lee Roth, backed by Michael Winslow, just doing the music.
See, I'd watch that.
So would I. The headline of music festival.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this particular Tuesday evening, Moving Violations would have taken it all up. I would watch it now, and then Moving Violations moves into not necessarily the news.
Yep.
A show that got lost. And I guess maybe it wasn't good. I don't remember, but I remember it being like, wow, this is like
edgy
show. Yeah.
It actually is really good. It's Conan O'Brien's first writing gig after college, and a bunch of guys who went on to write for The Simpsons as well. Meryl Marco was on it as a writer. There's great writers on that show. I've tried to rewatch it. I've had Stuart Penkin on the show, who was the main guy on it. And the difficulty is, with removed from knowing what was going on politically at the time, it makes no sense.
Not evergreen.
No, I'm like, I have to do like 4 hours of research to get half these jokes, except for Sniglets. Those are universal and will be forever.
Rich Hall.
Yeah. Who's great.
Rich Hall. Huge over in
England.
Europe. Yeah. Big over there.
Otis Lee Crenshaw.
That's right. That's character. The act. Yeah.
When I lived in London, he had a talk show, Rich Hall. And, I used to go to any tapings I could at the BBC. I would just like hang out there. And so I went to every taping of his talk show, and he did like 10 episodes of the show, and it was really funny. And his sidekick was Mike Wilmot, the Canadian comic.
Yeah.
And it was great. And I've never been able to see it again. And I was like, Rich Hall should have a talk show all the time. What the hell?
He would, Edinburgh. I think he always pops up every year in Edinburgh.
That makes sense. But funny guy.
Sniglets. I remember that.
It was a huge phenomenon.
Somebody was doing something on Twitter, like in the earlier days of Twitter, like word mash. No, it was a thing I was a part of. It was part of this group called Blurs out of Chicago. And we're like, we're doing word mashups. And then they'd act them out. And I'm like, this is Sniglets. Right? Like, yeah, but that's old, so who cares? I'm like, all right. It's not like it's a wildly creative idea.
There's going to be nothing more satisfying than ruining someone's day by telling them they're just doing Sniglets.
Well, I could see something that's known as Sniglets not making headway in today's climate.
That's true. It does sound like a racial slur.
That sounds like it's their own definition of a word for something else. And like, we're going to leave that one alone.
Yeah.
Move on to Wednesday night is what we're going to do. Wednesday was a big one, buddy. I'm going to tell you. You had Perfect Strangers. Yep. Everybody loved the little Balki Borat.
Yep, and he now...
Everybody loved it.
Bronson Pinchot now owns an entire town in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah, he basically bought this town, and he just hires all these guys to make all the buildings look like Greek Revival antique buildings. It's real weird.
Is he Greek?
I don't know, because he's ethnically vague.
As was Balki Borat, but it really let's nod. Let's give a proper nod to the original Borat, Balki Borat.
Yep, from the island of Mypos.
Let's really give the OG Borat its due.
And I would say that Cousin Larry Appleton, in many ways, is the original Larry David.
Good call.
Just a real selfish asshole with curly hair who's constantly ruining everyone's day.
Yeah, just a jagoff that's annoyed by immigrants.
Yeah. And a show that, again, I watched that show every week. I didn't like the show particularly because it was super slapstick, but I have fond memories of it. No interest in rewatching.
No, I'm not gonna revisit that. Don't need to. But it was it was like the ramp up to your night of TV watching.
Yeah, it's a little appetizer.
You didn't start with a banger because the banger's coming up. So you start with Perfect Strangers. Head of the Class. think there was anything of importance to that show. It was just on in the background, other than the wasn't the teacher Johnny Fever?
Howard Hessman, and then he was replaced
Fever,
by Billy Connolly.
That's right. But I think the only holdover was the fact that the family had enjoyed him from WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And you think you're going to get the same. You think you're going to get Johnny Fever, and you don't. You get this other guy. You're like, well, no, be Johnny Fever in this new show.
But no, he's just sad.
Showbiz works.
He's a sad, failed actor teaching smart kids.
Yeah, of which wasn't the one guy like a super pervert?
Oh yeah, that's the guy who basically runs Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider.
Yeah, and there are all kinds of crazy stuff about that guy.
Oh yeah, loves himself the kids.
Oh, blah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, let's let people research that one for themselves.
Oh yeah, enjoy everybody.
I mean, as an adult now, something called Banjo Hackett over on Channel 26, just because Banjo Hackett is a hell of a handle. But in continuing with the ramp up, the real gold mine of your Wednesday nights, it's Gimme a Break.
Hands down. Nell Carter,
Gimme a Break.
Genius.
Boom. There's your show. It was funny. It had heart. It had lessons.
Yeah. And Nell Carter was a crazy Like I've rewatched that show all the time. Mm-hmm. I love it. I've had cast members from that show on this show.
Couldn't tell you who else was on that show.
Well, you had one of my favorite named people of all time, Dolph Sweet, who played Chief, who was the dad.
Oh yeah, didn't he die?
He did. Away? He died like 3 seasons in, and they had to replace him with his grandfather. And I didn't know Dolph Sweet. I always thought he was like some kind of weird non-actor because he seemed like he'd be like, oh, geez, no, like he just didn't seem like an actor. But he was a Broadway song and dance guy.
Sweet.
Which is craziness. This is a Christmas episode. This is when they moved to New York. Rosie O'Donnell was in this season as their neighbor. Joey Lawrence had come into the show by this point. Nell dresses up like Santa Claus. It's a pretty funny one.
Dolph Sweet's build-up, and his Wikipedia just starts, Adolphus Gene Sweet was an American World War II U.S. Army Air Force navigator, then a prison of war, then an educator who became an actor.
Yes.
God damn.
Yeah, people lived lives, man, before they were on Give Me a Break.
Just imagine going through the bullshit of auditioning for sitcoms after like being a POW.
I was in a Korean war camp for 3 years.
What do you want?
What you want
fun? I can do fun.
You want me to do a different take for that spit take?
Just a director going, let's go back to that camp. All right. Right now, the set, that's that bamboo cage. You're trapped here.
That's how upset you are that Nell ate the last piece of cake.
You use what you know and bring it to the performance.
That's why you're mad the kids threw a party while you were out.
Guy's got a Purple Heart in his house. He's losing roles. Fucking Tony Danza's buddy.
But like Eddie Albert from Green Acres, he was also a World War II vet. He saved an entire boat worth of people. And then he's in Green Acres.
Some of them probably like just give him the job, especially like, back in the 50s. Like, you did what? Give him the job.
Yeah.
Just give him. He's fine. Give him the work.
People will like it. It's fine. But again,
Joey Lawrence's brother in there too.
That is Joey Lawrence.
It's not Matthew Lawrence?
It's Joey.
Joey Lawrence.
Yep. Matthew came in later where they were like, Joey's too old. We need more Lawrence power. So they brought in his little brother who was also an orphan that they rescued. Which is a little bit strange.
Who doesn't want to hang on to all these Lawrences? Who's giving away these Lawrences? Yeah. Moneymakers.
My God, look at that bowl cut, that alone. And then, of course, there's the infamous Joey Lawrence blackface episode of Give Me a Break. If you could recall. You don't remember that?
You know what I remember about like one of the most controversial like lesson learned moments, very special episode moments was what's the other
Punky Brewster?
Rascally black kid.
Oh, Diff'rent Strokes.
Diff'rent Strokes, and the one kid had like epilepsy.
Oh.
And like, and they're making fun of him. They're like, hey, can you hold my milk because I want a milkshake. And I like laughed real hard at that joke. And then it was about how that's bad. I'm like, well, you blew it because I already laughed at that part thinking that was the funny part.
There's in a Punky Brewster episode, there's an episode where the janitor woman is a savant and she plays the violin, and Alan, who was Punky's friend, who was the biggest dick on TV ever, he starts making fun of her, and it's mean, but rewatching as an adult, it's that kind of thing where you're like, oh, but why'd they make it funny too? Like, he's a funny asshole. Like, they look at her playing like this spray bottle. She's miming playing the violin, and he's like, hey, what are you going to do next? A mop solo?
Like, don't let the comedy writers write the jokes that are supposed to be mean, because they're still going to be funny too.
Yeah,
and you're gonna sweep the point under the rug.
But he does say the meanest thing I've ever heard on television, and it's yet to be bested, where TK Carter says, Alan, you're hurting her feelings. And this kid says this, an adult wrote this for him. He goes, she doesn't have feelings. She's a retard.
God,
even as a kid in 1985, I was like, you can't say that to somebody. Yeah.
I wonder if he's like gets recognized at restaurants.
Just punched.
Just for that.
Probably. They wrote that kid as such a fucking asshole. Like, there's a CPR episode and they're trying to teach kids CPR, and they have one of those Recessa Annie dolls, that you practice CPR on. And he goes, first, ask her how she's doing. Annie, can you hear me? And Alan goes, why don't you kiss me and find out? I'm like, oh my God.
That's, I'm so happy for that show Cobra Kai, just to see William Zabka come into what is rightfully his, of like, oh, you're the Danny McBride refreshing. Like, thank God you're here and you're doing this, because we only know you as an asshole. And then you see him as like producer and director on the show. I'm like, yeah, William Zabka, get yours, man. You deserve a great life right now. Because
that poor guy, I've talked to him, and he's a super nice guy and like a serious actor. And, he was, I don't know, 18, 19 when he started acting. And so he took these roles because they were being offered to him. And he's like, cool, I'm working. But then it's like, oh, they only want me for this one kind of role, and now no one cares anymore. It's like, oh, but no one told him, because it makes sense.
When you're young, you take him right. It's so good to like see him have the wherewithal to be like, oh, it's like perfect washed up Johnny and like Johnny Lawrence, and being like I'm a big fan of that.
It's great. It's great. And Daniel's kind of a dick.
I love what they're doing with it.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Very appreciative. Like, let's flip them and we'll do a silly thing. Thank God.
But it makes sense in the context. It might be the best sequel series I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Where are we at now?
Thursday night. We got two more nights left.
Okay.
See, Thursday's a big night for me on CBS.
Thursday was huge. Thursday, that was must-see TV.
It was.
Thursday night was must-see TV, as like what's the NBC thrown up? The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz?
Yeah, that's ABC. I don't know what the hell that is. It's a Canadian...
Channel 5 was ABC. Okay.
It's a Canadian TV movie from 1974 starring Richard Dreyfuss.
That's when you knew they didn't have a chance. You threw that kind of crap up. That's when a channel is just white flagging their whole Thursday night.
Yeah.
Your Channel 2, that would be your... What?
That's CBS. CBS, yeah. So they're
CBS, they're like, you listen, single adults or whatever, we got you. Twilight Zone and Simon and Simon.
Yep.
Hey, come on over here, old people. We got you.
Hey, don't have a family?
Grandparents, they knew exactly. Smart. That's some programming chess right there.
Yeah.
It's like, we are not going to take anybody away from this killer lineup, which for the listeners, your Thursday night, starting with Cosby Show, starting strong.
Yeah.
Now, this is before, obviously, the what was the one after Cosby Show? Another World.
Different World.
Different World. Yeah, so that's obviously before this, because then you go Cosby Show into Family Ties.
Yep.
Boom.
Height of Family Ties' power.
You're almost exhausted at that point, that hour of TV. But then, let's shift it in to where the humor let's give the parents something now. You got Cheers.
Yeah.
I will rewatch a Cheers.
Amazing show.
That's, oh man, that was the, now we're paying attention to the TV. That's like, oh, Dad's watching now. Dad's in and out of the room, you know, for Cosby Show, for Family Ties.
Yeah, kid stuff.
But Dad's sitting down to watch Cheers.
And then you go, something about this is good.
Was there ever another set for Cheers?
Yes. Well, yes. So you have the main bar, and then you have Sam's office.
Yeah.
You never see upstairs. Sometimes they go out. So they went to Sam's apartment. They went to Rhea Perlman's house once, like on the Thanksgiving episode. They went to a monastery when Diane has become a nun. But mostly it did stay in the bar.
Oh man, just whatever opening Norm gag was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hate that stuff. And I hated that stuff when I was a kid, like those like sort of the audience cheer moments, but I still loved that.
I did think it was strange, like, oh, so they're all sitting there watching this bar. But the story, somebody told me a story about Cliff Clavin, how that character came to exist, is that he auditioned for somebody else.
Yeah, Norm.
And then he auditioned, and then he was like, oh, you guys don't have a bar know-it-all? Like, was that, I mean, you obviously probably know more than me about any of these stories, but is that correct? Like, he just told him, he's like, you got to have a bar know-it-all. Yep. Every bar has one of those, basically created the character for him.
Yes, that's 100% true. John Ratzenberger, who is a classically trained Shakespearean actor and is in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Star Wars?
Yeah, because him and his buddy moved to England and they were in like acting troops. And Ratzenberger told me one of the funniest stories I've ever heard was he met Laurence Olivier. And he's like, wow, I'm meeting Laurence Olivier. I'm going to ask him for some acting advice. And he's like, Mr. Olivier, I'm a young actor. What's some advice? And Laurence Olivier goes, never leave your wallet in the dressing room. And then that's it. And Ratzenberger was kind of pissed off. He's like, what the fuck? But then he goes, you know what, though? I never have, and I've never had my wallet stolen. And a lot of people I worked on shows with did.
Turns out it was good advice. It wasn't the kind of advice I wanted, but it's still good advice.
Still good advice. And the amazing thing was, at one point, NBC made robot versions of Norm and Cliff that they had in Cheers bars in airports. And and Ratzenberger and George Wendt sued them, and they lost. And I looked up the case. I found pictures of these robots. They are terrifying.
Of course they are. I'm just going to like the Bill and Ted robot versions from.
That's pretty accurate.
Ted's bogus.
Pretty accurate.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But yeah, that is true. Ratzenberger said you need a bar know-it-all. And that character is perfect. Like, we all, especially around here, obviously, we all know that guy.
Everybody, and especially as a kid, you didn't know bar locals.
Well, I did.
But then as an adult, you're like, oh, you guys nailed it.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect.
It's the classic show. It was a great show, and it was, everybody could have a good time watching it. It had gags for the kids, it had romance and stuff for the adults.
Yeah.
Cheers all the way, baby.
It's perfect, and it holds up. That's a show that I'll rewatch all day, any day, and enjoy it.
And again, looking at going down to the cable before. Now, Night Court's on after that. We talked about Night Court. I'd be watching Night Court. A lot of stand-ups. Yep. And Harry Anderson. You had Marsha Warfield. John Larroquette, which I don't know where he went. Well, he was in... what was his like 90s sitcom? He
had the John Larroquette Show, which is one of the best shows I've ever seen. It's actually really dark. He plays a recovering alcoholic whose only job he could get is as the night manager of a bus station. And it's really dark and grim. Lenny Clark is in it, who's a classic Boston asshole piece of shit. Yeah. And the funniest thing about Lenny Clark is, well, number one, I've talked to so many people who worked on shows in the 80s and 90s in LA that absolutely hate him. They're like, that fucking asshole got way too many chances. But he plays a cop in that show, and the writers wrote him as gay, and Lenny had no idea. So there's all these jokes at his expense about how he's actually gay, and Lenny's got no clue, and it's amazing.
Oh, see, that's the kind of like a little taste of revenge.
Yeah,
just a little.
It's great.
Oh, that was it. But did John Larroquette, is he doing anything?
He pops
something after that.
He pops up in stuff here and there. Like he was on the show Chuck in a great role. He played this, like, if James Bond was an alcoholic and like old, but like really sad. He shows up every so often. He was on that show The Librarians. He was on that show Almost Human. Like he pops up every now and then, but nothing regular. I liked him. Like he was a jerk in that show. But he was like, this guy's a good jerk. Oh yeah,
like, he's gonna be funny. This is one of these jerks that's gonna be funny every time.
He won so many Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy Emmys that he asked them to stop nominating him. Literally, he was like, "Guys, I get it. Like, please nominate other people.
Somebody else a chance."
Yeah, he won like 9 in a row for that show.
Well, he deserves them. He was funny. When I first moved to LA, and I was hanging out with a buddy, a comic named Tom Clark, and we went to a place called Norm's. We go back to Cheers, the Norm's, but there's a restaurant called Norm's, which is like if Denny's gave less of a shit.
Oh yeah, it's like a 50s kind of Denny's.
It's just a busted chain diner. We're sitting there eating. He's like, one time I saw what was Bull Shannon's, what was his
Richard Mall
name? Yeah, he's like, saw Richard Mall eating at Norm's once. He's like, just so you know, even Bull Shannon enjoys a sensibly priced meal. Seeing Bull from Night Court eating at a Norm's is like all you need to know about Los Angeles. Like, yeah, you'd be riding Hyde one day, but just watch out.
Eating at Norm's on the Early Bird Special a couple of years later.
Yeah, but that was one of those sitcoms of like before. Now we're all exhausted of seeing how every character fits the puzzle of the story perfectly. But
yeah,
man, Night Court it did it for me. And then here's your easy recurring cast of guests and problems with it being also. Why was there Night Court? Is that a real thing?
It is in New York apparently, because they just had so much crime in the 70s and 80s that they had to, instead of sticking people in jail overnight till court opened the next day, they had Night Court.
That was definitely a thing in like recent years where I'm like, yeah, I love Night Court. Like, what the fuck is court? That's a daytime endeavor.
Yeah, and
I'm like, I never realized like why it's called Night Court. It doesn't make sense.
And it's not even like some kind of Playboy channel like Court After Dark.
No, it's just like, I guess you can go to court at night if you need to. I don't know.
That's why it was always like prostitutes and like bar fights. It was like, they were like, it was like in last few years that I'm like, wait a minute. And then on cable, you had Richard Pryor live in concert, but as a 9-year-old, that kind of stand up, I didn't understand it. I wouldn't know what Richard Pryor talking about lighting his face on fire. Although there's some universal stuff in that when he goes, I learned that when you're on fire, people get out of your way.
Yeah. But as an 8-year-old, you're like, why are we on fire, man?
Yeah, that is.
What's crack?
Yeah.
But you had Ghostbusters on. So, but no, that was Thursday night. You know, what you said, and CBS or whoever it was, you're right to bow out of the way.
Yeah.
Or give something to old people, because that was the that was the like the golden era Chicago Bulls of TV lineups.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because then you had LA Law too, and then it never stopped because LA Law got replaced with basically ER. So it was just
Thursday. Yeah, you had Wings coming in there at some point.
Friends, Seinfeld.
That was Thursday nights.
Yeah, they just rotated those shows in, and it was like 20 years of just killer lineup on Thursdays.
It really was like a sports team. Like, we're changing the players, but we're going to crush.
Yeah. We're a legacy night. It was, and that saved that network. That network was in last place, and they took a chance with all those shows, and it saved the network, and they became number one.
Move.
That's the way to do it. Get yourself Cosby, but just ignore his crimes. And then, which they all knew about. Friday night.
Oh God.
8:00. What are you doing?
Let's lighten it up. All right, we're back to our Christmas. We got Christmas peanuts.
Is there any Christmas special you like, or that you like watch every year, or that you have like a fond memory of?
No, I don't know what it is. Like, Christmas is just, it's fine. I don't get excited about it. I think it just bummed me out. I think it was just, Midwest, like it's the coldest point of the year. It's just,
yeah.
It was fun. It was always fun around my family. Like my mom always decorated. It was a good time, but like Christmas movies and shit, like I didn't care.
But your birthday's right before Christmas, right?
Yeah. So it's like my birthday would kind of get stampeded. Not that, they always tried their best to like, but eventually you realize that your birthday's kind of a burden.
Yeah.
With everything else that's happening.
And people probably gave you a lot of combination birthday / Christmas presents.
I don't get that people tried their best to make it not feel that way, but eventually you just do get a sense that like, this is really an inconvenient day for this. And then I feel bad because I'm real shitty about birthdays now too, because I'm like, who cares? Everybody gets a birthday. What's the big deal? It's like, oh yeah, because you got to have, your birthday was, April 5th and nothing else was going on. And it got to be its own special day.
You weren't usurped by Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a bunch of other crap going on right now. Everybody's like, oh, by the way, here's a card. Oh,
sorry, I spent the money on Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, that Christmas present's going to be pretty impressive. Christmas stuff, after Halloween, like I really didn't give a shit till it started getting warm out.
Fair enough. As a fellow cold environment person, I can.
Yeah, and I still look at life that way too. I'm 43 with no kids, and if I see back to school ads, I get pissed off.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get anxious on Sunday nights still.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't live in LA right now, but like even there, where it's like it doesn't mean it's getting colder. It means nothing.
Yeah,
I will get fear. I feel like daylight savings time is theft.
Oh yeah. And you're just like, they're stealing my life. It's going to be dark and we may not survive. Like I approach every single winter like it's the thing.
Yeah. All right, let's hunker down. Let's try and like put my mind into sleep mode and preserve my energy. Yeah, just hibernate. If I could hibernate, it'd be great.
Right. Hopefully we make it through. But Friday nights were kind of fun regardless. You have Charlie Brown Christmas on, which you're skipping.
No, I'm skipping that, and I know like A-Team. It looks like that would be the show for a young man to get excited about. And I was not. I didn't do action shows too much.
I didn't really either, but because I was a comedy guy.
Fall Guy was something. Yeah, Fall Guy would be a show for some reason. I remember watching. I think I liked this truck. I think that was all.
I mean, the theme song was good too. Like, never discount how important a good theme song was to a kid.
Who was it? Who sang that?
He sang it himself.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm the unknown stunt man. No, it was actually Lee Majors. Yeah, singing his own.
We need a song. I got it.
No problem. I can fall the largest mountain. It's like perfect.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a cool truck. All right, what do we got going on?
So this A-Team I 100% watched because the special guests in this episode, first of all, we get Professor Toru Tanaka, who people know as Odd Job from the James Bond movies. Oh, yeah. But Karen Coppins is in this movie, in this episode as Dominique. And she was only in a couple things. And one of them was she was the romantic lead in Once Bitten.
Wow.
And I loved her. I had a huge crush on her at this time, and I 100% would have gone.
Been an early Jim Carrey movie?
His first movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a vampire movie. Takes place on Halloween. Good Halloween view.
It's a Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It's I wonder if like there was like just certain people that like the guy that played Odd Job, like once it's like, we need more inclusion and representation in cinema. The guy's like, shut up, man. I'm the go-to Asian guy.
Yeah, there's only one Professor Toru Tanaka, all right?
It's me and Pat Morita. It's like it's between him and I, and we're doing a killing, all right? Let's not flood the market, everybody.
I was watching someone talk about the movie House 2 the other day, and there's a guy named Royal Dano in it who was an old cowboy actor, and he was in his 80s in the movie. And one of the actors in the movie goes, I talked to him, I'm like, is acting different? Is it hard to get gigs when you're in your 80s? And he goes, well, there's less jobs, but there's only 3 of us, and one of them's busy all the time, and one of us is always sick.
Been in the game long enough to know how it works.
He's like, so at some point it'll be me if I'm not the busy one or the sick one. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably like that with Toru Tanaka. That's the
Good
word
for them. Good for them knowing the ropes.
That's what I want to achieve in life. So are you doing Webster?
Friday, I feel like, Webster got the courtesy watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
TV's on, so we're watching Webster. Couldn't tell you why anybody. We get cute kid.
Yeah.
It was one of the cute kid shows.
It was, and
Into another cute kid show, Mr. Belvedere, but we all liked it because of Mr. Belvedere.
I love Mr. Belvedere. I love Mr. Belvedere.
We love that fellow.
I've had, I think, 3 people from Mr. Belvedere on the show. Yeah.
Who else is in Mr. Belvedere? I always got Mr. Belvedere in like Who's the Boss?
Yeah, that was
not that I confuse them, but it's like they could have all lived in the same house and the show wouldn't have changed.
Oh yeah, they called that subgenre the Manny subgenre, and it was Who's the Boss, Charles in Charge, Mr. Belvedere, like but Bryce Beckham was in that show. Rob Stone, who was Doug Benson's roommate.
Really?
Doug Benson went to every taping of Mr. Belvedere. Every single taping.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's what you
Doug
do.
Benson has a history that. Well, I mean, he's a movie guy too, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And then 9, did you stick with comedy or did you go Miami Vice?
Miami Vice. Miami Vice. We watched Miami Vice, and then that was a topic of discussion at. It was called CCD, but it's pretty much Sunday school.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And me and this dude Chris every Sunday just let's recount Miami Vice.
Have you gone back and rewatched it at all?
Tonight, I have not. I haven't gone back to watch anything really, so I don't know if it's. I don't know. Again, cool theme song, cool cars, cool guys, crime, guns, babes. It's Miami Vice. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
It's good. It's good. And actually, Paul Michael Glaser directed a bunch of episodes. We were talking about him before the show.
Now we're going back. See, it's a full loop.
Yeah. And then 10 o'clock is my favorite Chicago show ever. Crime Story.
I could not tell you the first thing about Crime Story.
Takes place in the 60s. I always describe it as Mad Men Miami Vice. It's Michael Mann. It stars Dennis Farina as the major crimes unit head in Chicago, busting up gangsters in 60s Chicago.
Oh,
it's
God,
pretty
I
great.
love Farina.
Oh, he's the best. He's the best. Like, there's nothing Farina could do that I wouldn't watch. The best Chicago actor ever? Is that fair to say?
We're gonna go best out of Farina.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you got to throw. You got to throw your Murrays in there.
True. Except for the one who's a chef.
Oh, really? One of them just a chef?
Yeah, I make a joke on stage that the Wahlbergs, the only thing I can say about them positive is that they prove my theory. If you have more than 4 kids, one of them will be a chef. But the Murrays also have that. He owns a series of Caddyshack themed restaurants.
Oh, it's like distance yourself a little bit, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I did hear about that. I'm going to throw, you know what though? People might not like him. They might not like, his act. I'm a John Cusack guy.
I love
Cusack family guy.
Yeah.
John and Joan. They show up in the thing. I'm like, I'm already partial to it because of their presence in it.
100%. And I love Cusack. He's out of his mind.
I heard he just rides a Vespa around Chicago hanging out.
He's the weirdest dude. I hung out with him a little bit at a convention once, and he basically exclusively dresses like a sniper. Like he wears like black military jacket and sniper hat, army pants all the time. I don't know why.
He wrote
Grosse Pointe Blank.
Grosse Pointe Blank. I'm thinking like, yeah, you could tell like, oh, you want to be this guy.
Oh yeah, he wrote a sequel too that got made called War Incorporated. That is that character basically being like a contractor in Iraq. It's pretty good.
I did hear about this. Is that based on like it is the guy, or is it just kind of the idea of the guy?
It's the guy, although he didn't have the rights to use the same name, but he wrote it as a sequel to Grosse Pointe Blank, to be Martin Blank, who's like not a hitman anymore.
So I'm getting so much stuff to watch here.
Yeah, I apologize.
No, that's all right. Warren Corporate, you got it. Warren Corporate.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Actually, Bobcat told me my favorite quote about Cusack, because Bobcat's in One Crazy Summer with him, is he goes, "Oh man, Johnny's bananas. Guys like Howard Hughes."
Bobcat's the most mellow,
he's the best,
sweet guy who has just insane stories.
Oh, he's the best.
He's just a super nice, like, chill guy. He's like, everybody they like, oh, Bobcat, do the voice. Like, come on, man.
He's like, all right, man. Well, him and Tony V, who's his best friend, who's a Boston comic, and Tony's in One Crazy Summer one scene, but they hung out the whole time they were shooting that. And for some reason, Bobcat, actually, this goes full circle. Actors and people always hand Bobcat their wallet to hold while they're like doing a scene. And he's like, I don't know why. Like, Cusack would be like, oh, hold my wallet. He goes, so me and Tony V went back to the hotel and we bought $5,000 worth of fireworks with Cusack's wallet. And then we were lighting them off in the hotel. Like, because Bobcat toured with Nirvana opening. And he goes, Cobain used to hand me his wallet every night before they went on stage.
I love the history of who Nirvana had open, and there was somebody else too. It was like they would always have like Neil Hamburger open for them. Yeah. Just because they loved watching the audience get split between like, oh, this is funny versus what is this shit? Which
isn't totally fair to the comic, because as all comics know who've opened for bands, it's never good.
But if the comics know what they're getting into, I remember seeing Harmar Superstar before he became. Back when he was in a band called Sha-Na-Na, Sean, Na-Na, and they were like a pop punk band, and they were playing with Hot Water Music and Alkaline Trio. And they so then between, I think, like Hot Water Music played, and then he came up as Harmar Superstar in just a leotard and was just singing, like, just by himself with a track, singing R&B jams, and watch all these punk rockers. Half of them just think it's delightful and loving it. The other half like, the fuck is this shit? And just watching the confusion, I'm like, I see why. I can see Bobcat opening for Nirvana. I understand that mentality.
I mean, one of my favorite things I ever saw when I was in punk bands, we would play a lot of hardcore shows, which was not my scene, and I don't know why we got on this show. But
Boston hardcore. Those guys have a great sense of humor.
Oh, tons. We were playing with like 25 to Life and Agnostic Front and all these bands. And Warzone and like these New York crew bands, and we were just dorks. But someone booked this band called Black Velvet Flag. Are you familiar?
No, but I already.
They were these dudes who were all in hardcore bands, but as a joke, they did a lounge hardcore band where they would just do 80s hardcore covers in like a lounge style with a drum machine.
Oh, like a Richard Cheese type of thing.
Oh my God, it was so punk, because they come out and they're playing like, Let's Start a War and Circle Jerk songs, but like, they played Code Blue by TSOL, so it's all like, fuck the dead. And people were so mad and so confused. And I'm like, this is badass. This is so great.
Punk rockers did not have a good sense of humor about themselves.
I remember,
and myself included at the time too. There was some stuff where I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that you're making fun of me and this is a good time. I just thought maybe it was bad. Like the booker for the Fireside Bowl would book. There was this band that would get on all these big shows. There were high school kids that would break up every time they got booked. And it was only because the booker, like, he'd put him on first and sit in the back and laugh his ass off at these kids getting in fist fights every time. And then they get these big shows, like, come on, man, put us on. He's like, nah, this one's for me tonight.
And as an adult, you're like, I get it.
Yeah,
like,
you needed something. You're doing this 7 nights a week. You need a little something for yourself.
I remember, and I'll let you go because I apologize. We've gone through the guide and I'll keep you all night. But I remember seeing
we're doing a thing.
I remember seeing Pansy Division. Open for this hardcore band. And for people who don't know, Pansy Division was like an out gay pop punk band. But their onstage banter was basically like an 80s cock rock band, except all the things those guys would say about women, these guys said about dudes. So So they're like this, the crowd hates them because they're like super poppy and there's all these skinhead dudes there. And the singer points to skinhead dudes and he goes, "I would suck your dick, motherfucker." And he's like, so he's all like these punk kids. He's like, "Look at you, I would fuck you." Like, and they're so, they didn't know what to do with it. They were like, "I don't know how to handle this."
Yeah.
It was great. I was like, that is
the script.
Oh, it's so ballsy. And he was so aggressive about it. These guys just froze. Oh,
that was the scene needs more of that.
They really do. They really do.
It's like I keep telling people now, like, you don't need permission to have put an NRA float in a gay pride parade.
No.
Like, you don't need to just do that. Just flip it. Just change it up. Change up the expectations.
Everybody loves it.
Yeah, watch all these NRA. Hold on, man, we're about this. You are now, fuckers. Check it out.
People hated us because we were nerds and we were super reliable. So like if a band canceled, we would always fill in. So it got so bad to the point where if people saw us at a show, they were like, "Who canceled?" But I made us learn every Boston punk band's opening song. And so we would start it in complete darkness and the crowd would we filled in for Dropkick Murphys before and we did their whole opening with this big buildup and then the lights come on and I was like, "Sorry, they're not here." And then we play our song and people were so mad. They hated us.
Oh, I live for that stuff, man.
But
that's what was fun about Chicago is everybody had all the bands were already funny on top of it. Nobody took it too seriously. Everybody kind of knew how to have a good time. So it was so refreshing to be hear about all these scenes. Yeah, man, we get in a pit and everybody lose teeth. It was no, we still had fun. Nobody's trying to
I should have lived in Chicago because so many people just want to kick my ass.
Yeah.
I remember I got
every year St. Patrick's Day I put out a list of fake Dropkick Murphys songs. I'm kind of upset because I haven't gotten the amount of death threats I thought I'd get.
Oh man, we played so many shows with them. I sang with them a couple times because we used to open. I remember I got in an argument with the guy Rick to Life from 25 to Life, which is stupid. And he's all like, "Yo, I'm in gangs and whatever." And we were playing this show on Long Island, and I forget what he did, but I was 17, and I was like, "Hey, Rick to Life, shut the fuck up." And he's like, I was like, "Aren't you 30 years old?" Which seems super old. And I was like, "You're hanging out with kids telling them your last name's to Life?" And they were like, "Shut up, man, shut up." I was like,
those old punk dudes, I always wonder about if they're just waking up going, "I gotta put all this shit on again."
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, you know Mike Ness just wants to wear sweatpants to the grocery store, but he's like, "Nope, I gotta do the hair.
Put my scally cap on. I gotta dress like a newsie.
I just want to take my Camry over there. Why do I have to fire up the 51 Mercury, scrape it going out of the driveway?"
I remember once we were playing with the Swingin' Utters and Social Distortion, and I was like, what did I say? Oh, I was like, "No, I understand why you're mad. These Social Distortion fans, every time they try to play dice, they're always bursting into flames." They were not happy.
Oh, the rockabilly guys. It's so exhausting.
It really is.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, we're better. We've established we're better than everybody.
Well, yeah, that's what podcasts are for.
Yep, and we did it. We watched TV this week, and I'm glad we finally did it.
Talk shit on people when they can't defend themselves. What else is podcasting for?
That's the American way. That's Kyle. Great dude. I think you will agree. Love talking to him. It was nice to finally catch up. We've been wanting to do this for years, and we finally did. If there's anyone else you would like to have on the show, please email me at ken@icanread.com or tvguidancecounselor@gmail.com or on social media at TV Guidance or at Kenneth W. Reed, REID. My dog is very angry about something. I don't know what it is, so I should probably check. But in the meantime, you can go find Kyle Kinane stuff on the internet and laugh and enjoy. And I'll be here next week with a brand new episode. So we'll see you next time on a brand new edition of TV Guidance Counselor.
So I had to go out on my lunch break and have a phone call with Skippy where he was like a dick. Like he was a jagoff.